everyone, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Remember how just a couple days ago it was the end of the world? Well, of course it wasn't actually, but Bitcoin got into the upper 90,000s. XRP dropped as low as I think like $1.91. Well, here we are now. XRP is $2.18 and Bitcoin's back where it was, $105,885. Now, I'm going to share with you perspective from, I think, 9 different XRP chart analysts in this video, so this will be very heavy on XRP content, including perspective from the blockchain backer, who says, and this is a quote, the blockchain backer says, "You are not bullish enough," end quote. Now, I love that. That's fun. The blockchain backer, he doesn't normally talk like that, so when he does, it stands out to me, and he does for good reason. So I respect the way that he characterizes situations that we're in. He's always very careful with his words, and so and he's talked about this. He doesn't want to come across as too hypey, this or that, and he certainly doesn't. But that's why when he says something like this, which is perfectly reasonable, it jumps out at me. And he's right, and you'll see. I'll show you exactly why he said that. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, it's 5:41 p.m. Central Time, Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. XRP did get as high as $2.21 just a little bit earlier today. And again, don't forget, it was literally like $1.91 just the other day. Then there's Bitcoin here, got as high as $106,077. So wasn't the end of the world. I told you that if this happened, and then because tons of analysts were warning that you could have this final dip here, it would not be the end of the world. So hopefully you didn't get shaken out. Take a look at this. Here's a post from Charlie Bellello. He's the chief market strategist at Creative Planning. And he shared this chart and he says, the U.S. bombed Iran over the weekend. Naturally, stocks rose 1% today while crude oil fell 9%, just as everyone predicted. So obviously, there's a bit of sarcasm there, what everyone predicted is that this was going to be some sort of terrible economic tsunami that would just wreck everybody. That is not how things have gone down. And now it appears, at least, that the conflict between Israel and Iran is over. There is a ceasefire which seems to have been implemented, so hopefully things don't heat back up. It could actually be over here, so not the end of the world, but people got shaken out, didn't they? It's just not the end of the world from a market perspective. It just isn't. I mean, here you can see the S&P 500 actually. And by the way, that post, that was from yesterday, what I just shared with you, but look today. Here's the S&P 500 up 1.11% at 6,092. Everything's fine, folks. Seriously. Okay? Here's a post from chart analyst Credible Crypto that resonated with me. It said, "Storms come and go. The map always stays the same, even if there are a couple different paths we can take to reach the final destination. Hopefully you didn't abandon the high time frame plan because of low time frame price action, as it seems the storm has now passed and we are still right on track." And so, folks, he seems to think that the worst of whatever the hell was going to happen for this part of the cycle, it's over, and it's just a matter of time before we then go up. Take a look at this post from the blockchain backer. This is one that I was referencing at the outset of the video. This is a fun post, and it's fascinating too. So what you've got here is the stock price of Coinbase. That would be the chart that is red and green. And then what he did is he slapped right on over that the total 3 chart. The total 3 chart is the top 125 coins by market cap, except for Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's everything else, so XRP is included in there. And what you'll see here is a very obvious and very strong correlation. If you zoom out like we have here, going back the last couple years, you can see that this thing correlates, right? And Coinbase leads. Coinbase leads, then the market follows. Look at how in the past, when there are massive moves for Coinbase's stock price, what happened? What followed? The total 3 chart, which includes XRP, it followed. Look what just happened. I wasn't paying. I don't usually look at the Coinbase stock price. Maybe I should actually. Every now and then people highlight and I'll kind of mention on the channel, but I'm not like proactive about checking it. Maybe I should be. Look at this bad boy. This giant jump right here, that's happened over the last week. So even if there's a little bit of a lag time, something's coming, folks. If we continue to see that type of correlation, and so that leads credence to the argument that indeed we will see not a boring summer, but some hot price action. It's not guaranteed, but usually in the fourth year of market cycles, you actually don't have boring summers, and this is the fourth year of a market cycle, so take it for what it's worth. But wouldn't that be exciting if like in very short order, this just keeps in line with Coinbase? Because it's very clear that investors are just treating Coinbase stock the same way that they ultimately treat the crypto asset class. It just happens to be the case that for some reason, Coinbase, historically anyway, has been leading the price action. Take it for what it's worth. But here it is. Coinbase at $344. This is the Coinbase price, stock price going back to last year. And again, I'm not kidding. Like literally this leg that we have up here, it looks like it started June 17th, literally 1 week ago. What do you think happened? So 1 week ago, it closed at $253. And again, it's now $344. So the blockchain backer wrote, "You are not bullish enough." And so it jumped out at me like it did for everybody else. I believe that that probably makes a lot of sense. I really do. So we'll see, even if we have to wait a little bit longer. Oh, and by the way, the blockchain backer, I did check out his latest video. I'm sure many of you caught it. And just want to say a couple things and point out a couple things that he cited here worth mentioning here. And then definitely check out his video if you haven't. He always consistently does a fantastic job breaking down his perspective and explaining what's going on in easy to understand terms. But anyway, he did say that this may be the end of the sea leg, which, by the way, he's been calling for this for like several months now, quite literally, and it just happened. And the way these situations typically play out, it's possible you can see markets recover, which is what's happened to this point, but then get a double dip, meaning Bitcoin craters back into the 90,000s, XRP back below $2. That can happen, and he cited at least one example in the past where similar formation resulted in that, but he doesn't seem to think that's the most likely thing to occur. That's not what usually occurs. There's basically just a warning. And also a lot of the time in similar situations, frankly, as he said in his video, like you just have to meander around a bit sometimes, just moving sideways before finally rocketing out of here. So we'll find out in short order whether we're going to just keep on going from here or if we have to meander sideways. But he does still believe we will see one final parabolic move to conclude the bull run for Bitcoin, and then, of course, alt season's ultimately going to come. He also shared this post. This is another one from the blockchain backer. He wrote, and this is from this morning. He said, "Seems like a good spot for some rando news to show up for XRP in the next few days and shoot it to $2.60. Yeah, it would be a really good time for that, wouldn't it? And it can always be any number of things that sets off price action here. It doesn't necessarily have to be news. But yeah, markets respond. If it's not news, it always would have been something else. But there would be something. Like I'm just saying that I think even without some news event, you'd still see XRP ultimately rocket. But there can be catalysts, so he's of course correct about that. Here's a post from chart analyst Zoom, XRP USD chart, and he's showing the XRPs getting to the end of the symmetrical triangle, and he says, "July will be one hell of a month. You're not bullish enough." Another analyst saying you're not bullish enough. And that's from just this afternoon, 1:47 p.m. Central Time. We're getting there, folks. And, look, when you're progressing like this and you can see that volatility, the range has been decreasing, these things break almost 100% of the time before you get to the apex, and we're in a bull market. So what do you think happens? I'm guessing when this breaks, it's going to be to the upside and not the downside. That's my bet. Here's a post, another one. This is from chart analyst Zoom, and he says, "Now that XRP has swept the $2 liquidity, what's next? Scattered sell walls between $2.40 to $2.65. Clearing that zone should be fairly easy with good news. Probably a pit stop at the $2.60 zone." That's the same level that the blockchain backer cited. He says, "Once broken out of that zone, next hiccup is the $3 zone, and after that, new all-time highs for XRP." And so you can see the confidence for this happening unwavering from the chart analysts that I follow. The fact that we had a short deviation to the downside and scared the hell out of some people doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. As I insisted, it wouldn't matter because it doesn't make logical sense to think it would matter. This is just what markets do. We're in a bull market. It's not over. This is not how bull runs in, folks. Here's a post from chart analyst Casey Trades, XRP USD chart, and she says, "Yesterday, we were watching closely for another test of the $1.90 fib, the macro 0.5 retracement. Price had bounced from $1.91, but hadn't yet cleanly touched that support. But instead, XRP reached $1.90.8, just a hair above the $1.90 fib, and was instantly met with strong buying interest. That kind of front-run behavior is often a major signal of strength. It tells us buyers were anticipating that level and weren't willing to wait for a perfect touch. The market showed its hand, and the reaction confirmed it. Right? So yeah, so obviously what she's saying, it's very clear. Market participants did want XRP, and they were willing to buy at lower prices, which ended up presenting themselves. But a lot of people started to buy at higher than where they thought market participants might be shooting for. And so there you go. Strong reaction. And she says this bounce happened exactly at the end of our consolidation. If you followed markets for a while, you know this is classic behavior. Compression into the apex, a fake out drop, and then strength that flips the pattern and begins the next trend. That's exactly what appears to be happening now. So folks, remember how I just showed you a second ago, chart analyst zoom here, showing, hey, we're getting to the end of the symmetrical triangle. Here's the apex right here. Markets, like I said, markets break, before that, about 100% of the time. Yes, that is absolutely what she's citing here. And so, yeah, there happened to be a fake out to the downside. That was not, that you should, if you were listening to this channel, you were not caught off guard by that. Because I highlighted just, I don't even, an untold number of analysts warning about the exact same damn thing. And when that many analysts warn about something, there's a much increased probability that they're right. When you have that many analysts who are talented actually just coming to that conclusion on their own, yeah, they're strong majority of the time correct. So you should not have been caught off guard by that. And they all said the same thing. It'll be great. It'll set us up for some very strong moves afterwards. Anyway, and then she says, the structure off the low is also very telling. It's impulsive, not corrective. This isn't the slow grind correction. It looks like the start of wave 3 to new all-time highs. That gives us a reason to lean bullish here, even if some volatility remains. But we're not fully out of the woods yet. XRP still needs to break upward through two major resistance levels. First, $2.25, the .382 macro retracement and previous major resistance, and then $2.69, which is the .236 retracement. These are important macro levels, and clearing them with strength would confirm that this isn't just a local reaction, but a true trend shift. Below, we now have support at $2.14, the .382 retracement of the wave up from the $1.90 low. It's already been reached, and for this move to remain healthy, that level should ideally hold as our new local base. Momentum is in our favor. The reaction from the lows is exactly what we wanted to see, and now we watch to see if XRP can carry that strength through resistance. We're still early, but this is how real moves start. Look, I cannot imagine sitting here and not being ridiculously excited and bullish. Like, if you, do you have a pulse? If you're not excited, do you even have a pulse? Do you see what's happening here? Things are going to get absolutely insane. Come on. Here's a post from chart analyst XRP. He says, the target for XRP this cycle, or says my target for XRP this cycle has always been $26 to $33, period. So conviction not shaken. Here's a post from Crypto Wizard. It says weekly formation. The longer it is, the bigger it moves. For the past 30 weeks, XRP has been moving sideways and consolidating. Remember the last time it did this? It exploded. Only a matter of time until this ascending triangle breaks and XRP breaks $2.80. Okay, so that's in line with what I keep seeing from the vast majority of reputable chart analysts that I follow. This thing's going to break. It's getting to the end of the range. We're just in a range. It's not going to stay here forever. It's going to rocket to the upside. When might that be? Well, let's see what chart analyst Greg Crypto has to say. It says the breakout is coming based on math. Based on historical patterns, breakouts from triangle formation, symmetrical, ascending, or descending, typically happen around 75% to 95% of the total pattern duration. Calculations for a 334-day pattern, 75% of 334 days would be 0.75 times 334, which is 251 days, around the first week of July 2025, so that's why that's fascinating. 95% of 334 days, it's just 0.95 times 334, which equals 317 days, so roughly mid-September 2025. And by the way, that would still be summer, actually. The last day of summer is, I don't know, September 20th or 21st or 22nd. It's around there. So, you know, if it ends up playing out like that, he's not promising things, so it's totally fine. But we're not going to have to wait much longer is the point, though. He says, this suggests that the breakout could occur anytime between early July and mid-September 2025, so stay alert. Folks, we are getting to the end of this range. Like it's something's going to happen, and that's historically normal too. Each of the last 2 cycles, XRP, after had its first major pump to the upside, it ranged sideways for about half a year, and then it had its second pump, second and final major pump for the cycle, and then it was over. So we got that to look forward to if history rhymes with itself. Here's a post from Dark Defender. He says, we were expecting June to be hot, and yes, we started to feel the heat. XRP in the weekly time frame is getting ready to break this descending triangle. Key levels at $2.19, $2.22, and $2.33, while supports are at $2.07 and $1.88. XRP maintaining cup pattern, check. Ichimoku clouds indications, check. The break is imminent towards all-time high. You see the recurring theme here? Nobody is wavering. And here's a post from chart analyst Steph is Crypto. Perfect bounce for XRP. Congratulations if you didn't panic sell. So he's just citing after we dipped down to about $1.90, $1.91. That was it. Great bounce. If you panic sold, oops, too bad, so sad. Because here we are, and this thing ain't done, folks. You, as the blockchain backer said, you are not bullish enough. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say, all right? That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.